Ever thought about what really shaped the United States? Not the hero tales or founding speeches, but the darker, brutal events that forced the nation to confront its fears and flaws. These aren't just stories of the past. They're moments that defined American values, freedoms, and the very idea of justice. Let's dive into the intense, often painful journey that made the U.S. what it is today. Our story begins in 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts. Imagine a small, tight-knit Puritan village, but instead of peace, whispers of witches and demons spread through the air. The Salem witch trials didn't just see a few accusations. They saw neighbors turning against neighbors, each accusation spiraling into hysteria. The fear was so consuming that 20 innocent people lost their lives, executed for crimes they didn't commit. Salem's tragic lesson: unchecked fear and mob rule can destroy lives and communities. This dark chapter would eventually shape American justice, teaching the importance of evidence and fair trials, values that are still essential today. Fast forward 100 years to a darker scene. In the 1830s, thousands of Native Americans, including the Cherokee, Muskogee, and Seminole tribes, were forced from their lands in the brutal episode known as the Trail of Tears. Imagine being driven from the only home you have ever known, forced to walk hundreds of miles with little food, harsh weather, and disease ravaging your community. Families were torn apart, and many lost their bio. The Trail of Tears was a tragic turning point, but it sparked a spirit of resilience and a long struggle for Native American rights that continues to this day. This history reminds us of the cost of broken promises and greed, scars that still echo in modern America. Then came the Civil War, the bloodiest conflict in U.S. history. From 1861 to 1860s, the country tore itself apart over issues of slavery, state rights, and freedom. Imagine battlefields where brothers fought brothers, where towns were burned to the ground, and where the blood of over 600,000 Americans stained the soil. The Civil War didn't just end slavery. It forced America to confront its own contradictions and its definition of freedom. The nation emerged with a stronger commitment to equality, setting the foundation for future battles for civil rights and social justice. Even today, the Civil War reminds Americans that real unity demands justice and equality, a struggle that is far from over. The fight for fairness would take to the streets of Chicago in 1886 with the Haymarket Affair. Workers, tired of grueling hours and unsafe conditions, demanded an 8-hour workday. But their rally turned deadly when a bomb exploded, killing police and civilians and leading to a fierce crackdown on laborers. The Haymarket Affair became a symbol of the workers' fight for dignity, inspiring a labor movement that reshaped American society. Out of this bloody clash, America eventually recognized workers' rights and protections we take for granted today. Fair hours, safe conditions were born. It was a reminder that progress often comes at a painful cost, a legacy that defines American labor rights today. Just as the nation began to settle into its new identity, a nightmare unfolded in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The prosperous Black neighborhood of Greenwood, known as Black Wall Street, became the target of a horrific, racially motivated massacre. Imagine the pride of a thriving community, suddenly ripped apart by flames and gunfire. Hundreds of people lost their lives, businesses were destroyed, and families were left with nothing for years. This tragedy was buried, a dark secret swept under the rug. But today, the Tulsa Race Massacre is a powerful reminder of the need for racial justice and the resilience of Black communities. It sparked a re-examination of racial inequality that continues to shape conversations in America today. In 1929, America faced a different kind of disaster, the Great Depression. The Wall Street crash sent the nation spiraling into economic despair. Picture families losing everything overnight, lines for food stretching around blocks, and an entire generation wondering how they would survive. The government responded with the New Deal, a series of reforms that brought Social Security, unemployment insurance, and other protections still in place today. This chapter in American history demonstrated the power of compassion and community in times of crisis, a foundation of the country's modern welfare system that continues to support millions of Americans in need. During World War II, paranoia reached new heights. In 1942, driven by fear of espionage, the government forced over 120,000 Japanese Americans from their homes and into internment camps. Imagine losing everything you're feeling, your home, your business, your freedom, simply because of your heritage. This dark moment was a painful lesson in the consequences of racial prejudice and government overreach. Today, the internment of Japanese Americans serves as a reminder of the importance of protecting civil liberties, even in times of crisis, shaping the national consciousness about minority rights and justice. The march toward equality didn't stop there. In the 1950s and 1960s, the civil rights movement took center stage. African Americans and their allies faced brutal opposition, arrests, and even death to end segregation and gain basic rights. Imagine standing up against fire hoses, attack dogs, and deep-rooted hate, all in the name of equality. This relentless fight led to monumental changes, including the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act, which transformed America's commitment to equality. The legacy of the civil rights movement is alive in every modern fight for justice, reminding us of the power of resilience and collective action. As the 1970s dawned, America faced another shock. Kent State University became a symbol of anti-war protest when, in 1970, the National Guard opened fire on students protesting the Vietnam War, killing 4 and injuring others. Imagine a peaceful campus turned into a battlefield, students falling to the ground as bullets flew. The Kent State shootings were a wake-up call, a tragic reminder of the right to free speech and the cost of standing up for one's beliefs. This event fueled the anti-war movement and strengthened Americans' resolve to protect their rights to protest, shaping the national conversation on freedom of expression. These dark and brutal moments in American history were more than just tragic events. Each one forced the country to confront its core values, to ask itself what it truly stands for, and to grow from its mistakes. Today, the United States is a nation built on hard-won freedoms, justice, and a commitment to equality. This journey wasn't easy, and these events left scars that still shape America's character. By remembering these brutal moments, we hold close the lessons they taught us, ensuring that the path forward is guided by resilience, compassion, and a commitment to justice for all.